here, Rose. Here, Rose. No barking, Jacob. No barking. Here, Rose, Rose. Here. Here, what are you hiding back there for? Here, Rosie. That's Rosie.
I think in the back of my mind, I really never thought it was going to happen. So I never really paid a lot of attention to it. It was like, oh yeah, you know, they voted it down once, they're going to do it again. So.
Well, and I think that, and the difference in the two of us is exactly that. That, you know, Karen's like, well, it's never going to happen, so I'm not thinking ahead. And you're not the vision person.
No, I'm a lot more pessimistic too.
Actually, it was funny that when the legislature passed it, I happened to be at the legislature that day. Not for that, I was there as Doctor of the Day, which we sort of take turns doing around the state, and actually a physician who I know who worked for the state happened to be there that day, and she came and grabbed me and she goes, "Quick, come in, the Senate's going to do the second vote on marriage." And so I went in and they voted, and then they took it to the governor's office and he actually signed it right away. So Karen was, I don't know what you were doing, you were home.
I was home.
And
I was
so
driving the car.
I texted her and I said, "They passed the marriage law, will you marry me?" And she texted back, "You bet." And there was this guy standing next to me, he said, "Can I take a picture of that?" I said, "Yeah." So I held up the cell phone. He used a fisheye lens. It's a god-awful picture, and he took a picture. And then about 5 minutes later, somebody said, "Judy, you're on the Portland Press Herald website."
Today, an analogous ballot fight is underway in the great state of Maine, where the initiative to repeal existing same-sex marriage rights is called Question 1.
It's been a long time coming. I know so many of you in this audience tonight were a part of this fight going back years, going back to the last campaign and even before that. And you probably know that over the last 2.5 years, almost immediately after that last campaign, really 3 years, we didn't stop and sulk about that loss, as heartbreaking as it was, as hard as it was to wake up the next day and let it sit in, that we had not prevailed. For all our work, we just came close, but not close enough. We immediately regrouped and started thinking about what we can do to win marriage. And we made a historic decision that this time around, we knew we had to take it right to the voters and have the first ever citizens initiative to bring it right to the people who were ultimately going to decide this vote for us.
I grew up here in Maine, and what this means to me is that the place where I grew up and the place where I want to raise my children loves me and accepts me, and that my neighbors thought about my life and my family and they found compassion.
Chew it up. I can't throw it. No. Come here, buddy. Come on. No, you broke it now. Now it won't go anywhere. You broke it. Chew it up.
We were in Bangor. We came out together. Neither one of us had ever been with a woman before, and we had no gay or lesbian friends. Didn't know anyone. We moved up to Dexter shortly thereafter to start a practice with with our two best friends, or a couple that a friend of mine from residency and his wife, and they were pretty much our support system. And it was all very hidden, but what happened was that these women started like coming into the office with non-complaints, like, oh, I have this little skin bump, and you'd be like, where? And we realized after a bit that they were lesbians who were living in the community who were trying to check us out, figure out if we were a couple or not, and figure out, you know, how to connect with us. We've been together, what, 15 years when we adopted Nina?
Yes.
And really didn't think that was possible. So, but it came up sort of out of the blue. Somebody said, oh, there's this adoption agency in Maine that's doing adoptions for single people or same-sex couples or older couples, and so...
We fit 2 of the 3 criteria.
Yeah, we did, so... And since it was Russia, you know, we couldn't exactly tell them we were both adopting her, so we told them that Karen was adopting her, and that she would have Karen's name, and that was an easy decision because my parents had 5 grandchildren, and my parents were both dead by then. So, and Karen's parents had no grandchildren. So remember we called your dad and we said we were adopting a little girl from Russia, and she's going to have your name. And he says, "You're going to call her Charlie?" We said, "No, Marley." Well, it was interesting because they told us that it would be really slow, and oh, it'll be months. And we had our home study in December. We got a call in January, we had our home study in December, and then we saw videos right after Christmas, and they said, here are 5 kids on videos, pick one. And when Nina came on the screen, Karen said, that's our kid.
And they called right after, actually it was right after
the beginning of the year. And they called and they said, well, can you be in Russia in like 10
Next
days
week.
or next week or something? So we got there. And then we did all the paperwork, and then we left and came home, and then Karen went back with the social worker in March to bring her home, and I stayed home to work so that I could take time off when they got home, because we were running a medical practice, and we couldn't both just leave.
Yeah, so this is what she looked like about a year and a half later.
Yeah, big difference.
Big difference.
Yep. I think, well, if anything, what has Nina learned from growing up in our home? She's learned about long, stable relationships, and that they're not always easy, and that, you battle it out, and then you figure out how to make it work, and you keep going. In fact, that was really funny. Nina was probably 7, and we went to, there was a PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. There was a PFLAG group in town, and they asked a couple of gay men and us to come and just talk about holidays and how that worked with our families and whatever. So we were talking, and we had to pick Nina up from Brownies, so she was with us. And so we're talking, and finally Nina goes, "Can I talk?" And I'm thinking, oh God. So I said, "Sure." And she goes, "Well, I don't get it. Your family's your family. You have whoever you have, you have your parents are 2 women, or you have a brother or a sister who's not so, who's got a problem, or your family's your family, and I don't get why people care." And then she goes, "But sometimes they fight and they yell at each other." And I cracked up because you could see the straight couples around the room just going, oh my God, it's a normal relationship. I don't think we ever, for the longest time, I don't think we even ever thought about marriage. It was like we were too busy running a practice and raising a kid. It's like, and people would talk about it, and we'd go, oh, just do something, do domestic partnership, but give us the legal rights. And even Betsy Smith, who's the exec for Equality Maine, I've known Betsy, we both have known Betsy forever, and she was talking to us about marriage 10 years ago, and we're like, Betsy, don't fight that battle, we can do it legally other ways. And really, it took a long time for us to get on board with it. And then I think we both just realized that it's not the same, and that separate but equal just really doesn't do it. So I don't know. So now, as I say, we have this wedding to plan, and now that it's real, it's like, oh my God, where do you start? Do you hire a wedding planner? I don't know. We don't, either one of us have a mother to plan it for us, which is probably a good thing.
Yes, I would say so.
Probably a good thing. I'm gonna meet with our minister next Friday and do some talking, and I know that she's got some ideas. And, you know, the question will be, I think I was telling you earlier how supportive our church has been, and I would love to just say that anybody in the congregation who wants to come can come, but then that makes the reception a little crazy, so I have to ask, I think she'll probably have some ideas about how to do that gracefully. But it'll be a party. It'll be a lot of fun.
I have no idea where, but.
That's all right. Well, there will be dancing.
Mm-hmm.
As long as there's dancing, I don't care where it is. That's it. But yeah, and so I think that it's, you know, it's really just about getting the people that we care about and that care about us together and celebrating that. 33 years too late.
Mm. Never too late.
No, never too late.